Please listen carefully.
Hello, universe, and welcome to the Optimist Daily Update. I'm Summers McKay.
And I'm Kristy Jansen, and we are part of the team behind the Optimist Daily, making solutions the news. We bring you reader-funded solutions news every day in order to change the tenor of news media, social media, and the direction of your day to one focused on solutions.
7 days a week, we publish positive news stories written by award-winning journalists and delivered online to your inbox and through our social channels. And also, we are sharing these solutions in a commute-worthy, walk-worthy, home office-worthy, gardening-worthy, TGIF-worthy podcast. Today is Friday, the 11th of June, 2021. How are you, Kristy?
I'm great. I'm feeling good. I've been cleaning up my plastic. Or trying to after yesterday's conversation with Stacy and Shauna.
Oh, I love them. They are inspiring and brilliant women. And I left that conversation feeling so like there was just no way I was ever. I felt a bit morose. I'm not going to lie.
Well, it's just a challenge. I did throw away all of my plastic bottles that I've been reusing to drink filtered water through. I did get rid of that. I'm going to invest in some more stainless steel or glass. I don't know.
Little things in my life, right? So I have a spray bottle that I use to wet Brennan's hair before I put her hair into a ponytail in the morning. And I was looking at it this morning as I was spraying her head, and I was just imagining all these tiny toxins flying all over her little head. And then I'm rubbing zinc oxide on her, and I'm like, this is probably bad for everything. Felt like I'm doing the wrong thing. But, I'm certainly a lot of people probably felt that, right? When you hear about all these things that we're supposed to do better. But I think, it is the small changes, and you also can't do it all at once, and you can't do everything.
Yeah. And not only that, I mean, as they were talking about, it's intergenerational, right? So we can do everything right, and there's still going to be consequences for the past 70 years, which makes it even more imperative that we really move forward in a different direction and start systemically kind of cleaning things up and moving to a new way of dealing with materials in the world.
Speaking of moving on, because I'm just kidding. Yeah, exactly. Kitten update, as you know, right? So the world wants to know about our rescue kittens. So it was a week ago yesterday that Kristy and I were crawling around the parking lot, and the kittens are doing really well. I have had kind of a culture shock in that I took the kittens to the vet as after their, 1 week, and they got their first vaccinations. And I have noticed that in California, it's pretty common for people to have indoor only cats, right? That is sort of the jam. Most of my conversations with our vet in California was, we let them outside sometimes. We just can't not. That's just how they are. And you always felt kind of bad about it. Well, here in this new land that I call home, it's kind of expected that your cats are going to be outdoor. And the vet yesterday was talking about, okay, so at about 6 months, that's when we'll neuter them. And then that's about the time you can let them go be the yard cats and the barn cats. And I was just kind of floored because it was just such a different experience going to a vet here versus in California. And what it reminded me is so often we assume people think and feel exactly like we do, right? Mm-hmm. So often we jump to the conclusion that what's happening in our neighborhoods or our experiences are likely happening all over the world. And the truth is they're not. And what might be the right solution for California is not the right solution for Texas, is not the right solution for, Ohio. But what we do know is that there's opinions, feelings, perspectives, and experiences that are different all across the world. And we have to have conversations, and we have to keep talking so that we don't just assume everyone thinks and feels alike. Because once we do that, that's where we get to where we were, chaotically in the past. Mm-hmm. That's my deep thoughts from Kitten Care on this Friday. Speaking of deep thoughts, Kristy, any amazing, empowering, inspiring, and awesome stories today on the Optimist Daily that got you going?
Yes, absolutely. I'm really excited about this article because I've been following the founders of this company, which is called NovoLoop. So the headline reads, NovoLoop uses circularity to address the plastic crisis. And this is a little snapshot of Miranda Wang and her co-founder Jenny Yao. These are two young women who they're still, I'm so impressed with Miranda Wang. She's probably not even 30. In high school, she and her friend Jenny, they were both in high school. They just realized that plastic pollution was such a problem. The article talks about her visiting the Saragoon landfill in Indonesia, but realizing that the plastic pollution just is takes a devastating toll on the environment, and particularly for residents of developing countries. And every year there's millions of pounds of dumped plastic waste that come from other countries, and it just piles up in these landfills in Indonesia or in Vietnam and these other places. And they, as high schoolers, set out to try to solve this problem. And I'm so in awe of these young women. And now they have this really interesting company, which is called NovoLoop, and it's based on circular principles. What they do is they turn plastic waste into repurposed goods. They both went on to university, studied chemical engineering. They are engineers. And what NovoLoop does is it collects the polyethylene, which is the world's most common plastic waste, and it collects it from recycling centers around the world that would otherwise dump it in landfills. And it uses it as the source material, the feedstock, as they say, to make another kind of plastic, which is thermoplastic polyurethane, which is a material commonly used in footwear and jackets and everyday goods. And they convert it through a chemical process, which they've developed over the last 10 years. The plastic's washed, shredded, broken down into those chemical building blocks and then synthesized into high performance materials. And it makes, what Wang likes to say is it makes products that are more valuable than the plastic waste from which they came. It upcycles the plastic in essence. It meets the quality standards of virgin material plastic, but it has like a 45% lower carbon footprint than conventional production. And it's interesting and it's exciting because it's a solution for plastic waste, but it also it's directly dealing with some of the toxic environments that we find ourselves in. And NovoLoop, the company, is aware that redesigned packaging and consumer choices can have a big impact on plastic waste. But when it comes to large industries like agriculture and shipping, removing plastic from the equation is a majorly uphill battle, as we were just realizing.
Exactly.
It's going to be really hard. But this upcycled plastic solution solves the issue by offering an alternative that removes waste from landfills and does not require new oil, new petroleum
to be manufactured.
Yeah. It's a win-win on so many levels. And I think that Miranda Wang and Jenny Yao are just so inspirational.
Mm-hmm. What I love about this story is that it hits a few different notes, right? It's circularity, it's reduction of plastic, it's also women in STEM.
Yes.
And that is so STEAM, I guess, is the new STEM. I don't know. Right. But I think that this idea of ensuring that you can have a STEM career and you can focus on this and you can bring with it some of the, we'll just call it the yin of femininity into also healing the planet. Mm-hmm. I think that working together, whether you are non-binary, male or female, whatever, knowing that you can have these highly technical educations and that highly technical education becomes part of the solution to making this world better is so valuable. Mm-hmm. And, right now I'm working with our daughter who's an incoming junior in high school, and she's kind of looking ahead at colleges, and she's an exceptional student and an incredibly inspirational person. And I just get really excited at the future she has because people like this are so inspiring. And I just, so young women kicking tail.
Yeah. Kicking tail, otherwise known as AS.
Yeah, I won't say that word because one time I did on the internet and my mom wrote me a very sternly worded letter. Okay, well, another story that it falls into the grid of solutions. I don't know if that was a good pun, but there's been this problem in that the largest manufacturers of solar panels actually have always come from China, and a huge part of the industry continues to be based in China. That has a lot of issues in the sense that just even getting solar panels here in the United States, it's not a very efficient system to get them from there to here. My headline reads, First Solar to build a huge solar factory in Ohio. Now, while this is a publicity piece in some ways for First Solar, because yay, they are building a $680 million solar manufacturing complex, and it will be the largest in the world outside of China's, to supply a new solar module every 2.8 seconds. It's also really exciting because what's happening is that companies and industries are investing in building the infrastructure here needed in the United States. And this is all part of the commitment with President Biden's goal to transition America to clean energy and to, have an energy secure future. It's amazing to see the financial investment aligned with the policy recommendations and the policy implementing. It's just very, very exciting. So Ohio has, a history of being one of those Rust Belt states, right? Coal mining and steel manufacturing and some of the more archaic industries have been the dominant source of income, that and agriculture in Ohio. And so it's really, really exciting to say, where is an area that needs new jobs, new investment, and how do we rethink our energy structure? And having First Solar do this in Ohio is pretty exciting.
Yeah. And I think, and it speaks to the recent public investment in R&D in technologies which have been dominated by China.
Yep.
But it helps to bring resiliency into our supply chain for things like renewable energy, which, and also it creates new industries in the United States, which are really needed and shoring up our resiliency in the face of, overseas tensions or things like that.
Well, and I love that it also just sort of adds to the conversation, helps people who maybe have never thought about solar to begin thinking about solar. We're actually constructing another building on our property. And today my husband and I were looking at some different design specs. And one of them was like a traditional gabled roof, right? Like a peaked roof. And the other was like a flat slanted roof. And we were going through them and I was like, oh, well, that one's prettier. And he looked at me, and this is not a person you would ever think would like lead with this. And he's like, oh, but the flat roof, that's where we're putting the solar panels. Oh. And I was so excited that I was reminded that this building is going to become an efficient tool on our property to add to our microgrid here, right here in our home. But just the fact that somebody who would previously years ago never have even didn't even believe solar, it was a thing, now is building a solar panel, roof on a building on our property is really, really exciting. The world is changing. Things are moving in the right direction. Maybe people will start neutering cats in Texas someday. Maybe they won't. But solar panels are now going to be manufactured in the United States.
Which is a good movement, I think.
Exactly. All right. So other fabulous headlines this happy Friday. I'm going to pick a couple and then leave the rest for you. I love this one, Kristy. With limited cemetery space, tree burials are gaining popularity.
Mm-hmm. I like that.
So you can have your mushroom coffin, or you can be composted or put under a tree. A UK potato giant commits to all regenerative practices by 2030. And there's a sleek, pollutant-free electric vehicle that purifies the air as it drives.
It probably uses algae.
Yeah. Probably does. It probably uses algae curtains. So what else do we have today on the Optimist Daily, Kristy?
Residents in Amsterdam can now pick up a free book on the city's history of slavery. And this is an acknowledgement of the role that slavery played in Netherlands development, which I think is good in sort of opening up history and telling the history of slavery and how it built our current world. Gabon has passed measures to protect its sharks and rays on World Ocean Day, which I guess that was this week. I got to go read that article. There's a how to grow your own aloe vera plant at home. So you've got that healing ointment whenever you need it. New species discovery, meet New Guinea's chocolate frog. I wonder if it's tasty or just colored chocolate.
Ew, Kristy, you're gross.
Maybe you lick it. I don't know. Whatever. And then there's some floating wind catchers, which aim to revolutionize offshore wind power. And that is it for today's Optimist Daily. Go check it out online. Thank you so much for listening to the Optimist Daily Update. We promise to keep sharing positive solution-based stories with ideas on how you can participate in a changing world, help ensure it is changed for the good. We promise to keep covering current events with accuracy, legitimate sources, and offering you the information we all need to chart new paths for us and the world. And you know this, we are a reader-funded organization, and by becoming an emissary on the optimistdaily.com, you can help support us and support the independent journalism that we are producing every single day, just $5 a month. You can help be a part of the solution-changing consciousness that addresses our world's biggest challenges with a problem-solving mindset, and help us keep the Optimist Daily free for everyone who needs it, supported by those of us who can. Thank you, everybody, for listening today. We'll be back on Monday. Have a great weekend.
Have a good one, guys.